Police officer attempts to stop a car for speeding, and the guy gradually increases his speed until he's topping 100 mph. The man eventually realizes he can't escape and finally pulls over. The cop approaches the car and says, "It's been a long day, and my shift is almost over. So if you can give me a good excuse for your behavior, I'll let you go." The guy thinks for a few seconds and then says, "My wife ran away with a cop about a week ago. I thought you might be that officer trying to give her back."
Sarah goes to school and the teacher says, "Today we are going to learn multi-syllable words." Class, does anybody have an example of a multi-syllable word? Sarah waves her hand. Me, Miss Rogers, me. Miss Rogers says, "All right, Sarah, what is your multi-syllable word?" Sarah says, "Masturbate." Miss Rogers smiles and says, "Wow, Sarah, that's a mouthful." Sarah says, "No, Miss Rogers, you're thinking of a..." One child asked his father, "How were people born?" So his father said, "Adam and Eve made babies, then their babies became adults and made babies and so on." Then the child went to his mother and asked her the same question, and she told him, "We were monkeys. Then we evolved to become like we are now." The child ran back to his father and said, "Hey, Daddy, you lied to me." His father replied, "No, your mom was talking about her side of the family."
The day after her husband disappeared in a kayaking accident, an Anchorage woman answered the door to find two grim-faced Alaska state troopers. "We're sorry, Mrs. Louisa, but we have some information about your husband," said one trooper. "Please, tell me, did you find him?" Mrs. Louisa asked. The troopers looked at each other. One of them said, "We have some bad news, some good news, and some really great news. Which do you want to hear first?" Fearing the worst, an ashen Mrs. Louisa said, "Give me the bad news first." The trooper said, "I'm sorry to tell you, madam, but this morning we found your husband's body in Seamak Bay." "Oh my God," exclaimed Mrs. Louisa, swallowing hard. She asked, "What's the good news?" The trooper continued, "When we pulled him up, he had 25 king crabs, good-sized, dangerous crabs, clinging to him, and we feel you are entitled to share in the catch." Stunned, Mrs. Louisa demanded, "If that's the good news, what's the great news?" The troopers said, "We're going to pull him up again tomorrow."
A blonde walked into an electronics store and said to the salesman, "I want that TV." The salesperson shook his head and said, "No, we don't sell to blondes." So the blonde left and came back with her hair dyed brown and said, "I'll take that TV." Again the salesman said, "No, we don't sell to blondes." So she left again and came back with her hair dyed black and said, "I want that TV." But the salesman still said, "No, we don't sell to blondes." Finally the blonde got fed up and said, "That's it." "How'd you know I was a blonde?" she asked. The salesman answered, "'Cause that's a microwave."